Hey guys, it's Bryan with some more Bomber Beta. Today I'm running you guys through my training app that I developed to try and help you guys train smarter and ultimately climb harder. Okay, so you guys are going to be seeing my phone recording over here. So I'm going to be looking down at my phone for a lot of this video. So you guys can see here, this is going to be the home page that you land on once you're all logged in and everything. But I'm going to run you guys through the profile real quick. So you can see here, when you first download the app and open it up, you guys will see this screen right here after you log in. And you guys can use your email address if you want, or you can just continue as a guest. The only thing is, if you continue as a guest, we can't transfer your data over to a new device, so just keep that in mind. You can pick your preferred style of climbing, whether it's bouldering or sport, and this will kind of help us kind of categorize you later on. And then we can go through and select our top 10 ascents. So by using this, we're essentially trying to get an average of how good you are at climbing and how experienced you are. And that's going to let us kind of benchmark you against other climbers of the same level. I know if you guys are anything like me, you guys can often find that like one climb or two climbs that are kind of at your limit and then able to send them. But averaging the top 10 climbs is going to give us a more roundabout way of kind of judging your skill level and your strength level. So by this, we'll just add one. I recently just did a V12, so I'm going to add one V12. And then I've actually done 9 V11s. So that's really easy. But if you guys have more than that, you would just add another row, and then you can hit calculate. And my max average grade is going to be a V11 or an 8A. And so if you guys have say 5 V7s and 5 V6s, we're going to average that, and we're going to give you the benefit of the doubt, round up, give you the average of V7. But if you guys had 2 V7s and a couple V6s, say 5 V6s, and then 3 V4s or 3 V5s, then we're going to average you guys a V6. So I'm just going to say for right now, I don't rope climb. I'm 29 years old. I'm a male, 6 feet tall, 185. And then down here at the bottom, you guys can see this leaderboard thing. If you guys check that box, you guys will actually be able to participate in the leaderboard, which we're kind of working on developing more and more. And that's kind of a fun little thing. And then you just want to hit save. I'm just not going to do that because I've already done it. So then it pops up with this home page. Now if you guys have just downloaded this app and haven't done any tests yet, you guys won't see anything here. You guys will just basically see a bunch of zeros. But you guys are going to have to go in and add tests yourself. So a good one to do first is the finger test. So you can go here and max hangs with added weight for 10 seconds on a 20 millimeter edge. This is like a very standard test that a lot of people use. And this is something that you guys can add in really easily. You guys can go down your smallest edge. That's like a cool one where you can just go in and you can see what I've done is an 8 millimeter edge for 10 seconds. So I would just put that in, hit submit, and then it would actually update. So you guys can see here once I hit submit, it's going to take a second, say it's saved. You guys can see there on this date at this time, I've actually have a new entry. And we've actually tracked this, and we've only had this app out for about 1 week now, and we've had over 1,000 tests submitted. So thank you anybody who has actually downloaded this app and started using it, because this is going to become very useful later on. So you can see my percentile rank for V11 climbers here. I have a lot of these scores, and the scores aren't super useful at this point because we don't have a lot of data. I actually think my brother is the only other one that has an average grade of V11 that's put in tests so far. But if you guys are around the V4 to the V8 range, there's a lot more users on there right now. So that's going to be a lot more useful to you. And I can go through each one of these, but you'll just click this, whichever one you want to do, and you can just scroll through. Depending on exactly which operating system you have, whether it's Android or iOS, it's going to look a little different. And it might look a little different based on your version of that operating system. You can see here, like for something like knee raises, I actually haven't completed this test on this profile yet, but you could just set a timer here, hit start. It's going to count down from 5 to give you some time to get ready, and then it's going to just go and start counting up. And you can do this, kind of hold it for as long as you can, and when you let go, just tap stop, and you'll know what your time was. So if your time was 8 seconds, you would put in 8 seconds. And that's the same thing for all these. So that's really cool. Now, one thing that I've had a couple questions about was actually these kind of harder upper end tests, like the front lever. Front lever is very difficult, especially if you're taller, heavier climber. It can be really difficult to do a front lever. So I actually asked you guys to put in 0 here if you cannot do it. Same thing with, like, say, one-arm pull-ups, or like maybe like a campusing, anything like that. If you cannot actually complete it, I want you guys to input 0, because that's going to tell us that you at this grade with this stats cannot do it, and that might help us kind of learn a little bit about the actual tests and the actual benchmarks that we're doing. Like, is front lever important for a V7 climber? Well, this app will eventually be able to answer that once we have enough data. So going back to the home page, you can see here, scroll down, I've done 19 out of 25 tests on this profile. Now keep in mind, I am developing this app too, so I'm logging in and out a lot and messing with my data. But you can see here that, like, I haven't done knee raises, so I could go and just do knee raises. Maybe in the future we'll actually set this up so we can actually just click on it, but you guys can see it just highlights right now. You can close it out and go to performance reports. Now these are actually averages, and we might actually change this math a little bit around, but right now you can see what the average result is. So like the smallest edge is 11.67 for my grade range, whereas my result's an 8. And then the max 10-second hang is 50%, and my result is 70% of my body weight. So just keep in mind, any weighted exercises, we're doing percentage of body weight to kind of normalize the data, because like a 180-pound guy hanging a certain amount of weight isn't the same as a 100-pound guy hanging the same amount of weight. So we're kind of doing percentages in order to keep the data a little bit more normalized. You can see here the front levers as well, and the L-sit. Let's see, the campus, I've actually done all of them, which is really cool. So you guys can see that chart and how it's gone there. So you can see that we have this little note up here, which kind of tells you everything about it. Whereas right now the 100 is going to be the average, and 200 will be double that average. So like, for example, for ladders, I've done double what the average is for my grade range. And you can run through all these and kind of like look at them. And I'm going to be making tutorials for each individual test. And if you guys have any issues with the test or suggestions about the test, I'd love to hear that, because that'll be very helpful going forward. So we can just back out of this and we can go down. So you guys have seen the profile, and you see here, just hit that hamburger menu, and you guys can pop into this thing. Now we can test the leaderboard, so I can actually look at, say, 159 for my grade V11, and you can see here that it's just me and my brother, who actually is the other developer of this app, and I would say the main developer, because he has a lot more experience coding these apps. So you can see we both done 158. And you guys can go back here, hit that little filter button, and that's going to bring you back to where we were. You guys can go and try another thing out, like max hangs, which has the different percentages here. And then you can see anything else, really. Let's see if there's any other good ones. Front lever is a good one here. Okay, so you guys can also hit this tab and see the overall leaders. So this is going to show you guys kind of like the overall leaders. Now we don't have a score based here because we had a bit of a bug We're trying to work on that, and eventually what you'll see is a numerical value that gives you a score based on all your tests combined. And this is really cool, and this will actually, I think, entice you guys to do every single test to try to actually kind of round out your leaderboard score, which I think will be really cool and very insightful, because I think this app is going to help us learn a lot about ourselves and about climbing in general. So here's another thing that we haven't had too much engagement with, but it's the pyramid. So you guys can see here, I've actually added in my pyramid for my top 4 grades. So this is essentially just what's your max grade, go each one down 4, and then actually put the number of how many you've actually done, hit save. And then what we can do is select our top grade, so mine's V12. You can see my personal pyramid. I have 2% at the top, 15% at V11, 44% at V10, and 40% at V9. And you can see that that matches pretty close to the average. And this kind of can help us kind of determine at what point we're prepared to actually go forward into the next grade, because a lot of people have actually asked me this question, and this is a cool way we can just kind of get some empirical data from users. And like, for example, if you see me, I just broke into the next grade range. I did 9 of the previous grade and 27 of the grade before that, and then 25 of the grade before that, which, you know, I can see that I obviously need to spend a little more time climbing V9s because I typically skip them and go for V10s, just kind of like an ego thing, maybe like a personal preference. But this app actually tells me that I need to actually focus a little more on that. The person that did this, my brother, he actually probably didn't climb that many V9s either. So that's something that we both could work on, and I think that's kind of a cool little setup. Now, I don't know how many we've had on the V7 range, but you can see here the average, we got 10% or 2 V7s. Then we had V6, we have 4, V5 we have 7, and V4 we have 10. So you guys can see kind of where that's at, and then go up to the next grade range and kind of see, you know, okay, so I need to probably climb about 4 V7s and 8 V6s and 15 V5s before I'm really ready to push it to that next V8 range. The last thing we're going to go through is so you can cast whatever time you've climbed, and you guys can read through. There's 13 questions right now. I'm not going to go through all of them. We have the little about page that will give you some information. And if you guys have any suggestions, leave a comment below or join the Discord server, because that's going to be a really good way for us to just kind of chat and try to figure out the best way to go forward on this app, because I'm really excited about it, but I know it needs a lot of work. I know some tests might not be perfect. I know we might need to be a little more explicit about some stuff. Maybe we need to change some tests over to something else that's more useful. I'm really interested to hear you guys' feedback on that, so please get in contact with me about that. And for now, just use the app. Try to make as many tests as you can. It's going to help us out as a whole. We're working on a custom reporting tab that's going to actually maybe give a little more insight into the data that's being presented to us. Now that we have that data, it's going to be a little easier to develop that part. But I'm really excited. I really hope this thing takes off and really makes a lot of good data that will help us actually get better at climbing and ultimately climb harder. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Give me a like, hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet, and I'll catch you in the next one.